Alright, this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is 8 Hilarious Ripoffs of the Most Popular Cartoons. This is coming from the channel Brain Time. Let's check it out. Let's see where this takes us, guys.
Hi everyone! They say that everything new is actually well forgotten old, but where is the line between similar ideas and obvious plagiarism? And should any reference be considered stealing? Sometimes authors deliberately introduce particular music or a character in a movie in order to pay tribute to another creator.
Like an homage. That's not.
And sometimes our brain recovers familiar images stored somewhere deep in the subcortex. Either way, the creative industry knows a thing or two about stealing other people's ideas, and there is nothing we can do about it. Today, we will tell you about the famous examples of plagiarism in animated movies. Let's get it on!
Okay, let's go. Yes, everything in the world tells me that this is about to be ridiculous, guys. Everything.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
At the end of the last century, millions of kids watched the animated series about 4 mutant turtles named after famous Renaissance artists. By the way, a quick age test. If the opening song hasn't started playing in your head now, then you are most likely under 20 years old. Few people know that the history of these characters is largely connected with another famous comic book character, Daredevil. The creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles loved the style of Marvel comic book author Frank Miller. They have also incorporated many references to events and names from Daredevil into their stories. For example, Master Splinter's name was chosen as a parody of the protagonist's mentor in Daredevil, Stick. Even the Foot Clan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a reference to the Hand organization from the Marvel comics. Can we call it plagiarism? Of course not. This is a common way to put references and Easter eggs. This is a widespread practice in the world of comics and superhero films. But in some case, the authors do not hesitate to copy everything. Take, for example, the series Street Sharks. It was released when the popularity of Ninja Turtles was at the peak. The series tells about teenagers who mutated into sharks and dedicated their lives to fighting crime.
Okay, this feels illegal.
Later, in 1996, another similar series called Dino Vengers was released. Of course, there were 4 characters in each team. Scooby-Doo.
That was a bad one, definitely.
And here is another iconic cartoon from the end of the last century. It was released even before the Ninja Turtles, back in 1969. There were many reasons for the staggering success. The series won the prestigious Emmy Award twice. It had an exciting detective story, a generous dose of humor, and very charismatic characters. Scooby-Doo alone was so memorable. By the way, do you know the story behind this unusual nickname? You would never guess. One of the producers of the series, Fred Silverman, was on a plane listening to Frank Sinatra. At that moment, he was still thinking about the name for his new project. The authors were dismissing all the options and could not arrive at a final decision. Then Fred heard the voice of the legendary jazz man singing Doobie Doobie Doo. The producer loved it right away. Well, he thought that at the beginning he also heard the sound S, so the name of the legendary dog appeared by pure chance. It would be foolish to expect that no one will try to copy such a famous cartoon. In 1973, Goober and the Ghost Chasers was released, a series that looks like a carbon copy of Scooby-Doo. The ghost hunting team, although with 3 members instead of 4, check. The dog helping in the investigation of mysterious cases, check, although the breed is not a Great Dane, but an Afghan hound. Poltergeists, ghosts, and other evil spirits, check.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna be honest. So as we entered into this, I figured it was going to be like, you know, some copies basically coming from some other countries that have different type of copyright laws. So they just generally don't care about the concept of not taking someone's intellectual property, right? But these are what it seems like is that these are Americans doing this to Americans. That's crazy, bro. Like, where did you think this was gonna go, bro? All right, this is the same exact thing, but the characters are basically all messed up.
But there are also differences between the 2 cartoons. For example, in Goober and the Ghost Chasers, real ghosts helped the team find fake ones, and the dog in the series knew how to become invisible and spoke the human language, though he did this only in order to break the 4th wall, that is, to address the viewers.
Gravity Falls. I don't think that's enough.
In 2012, the Disney Channel aired this cartoon, which soon became a real hit. The plot of Gravity Falls follows the adventures of 2 twins in the American town of Gravity Falls, where the brother and sister are spending their holidays with the great Uncle Stan. Like any teenager, Dipper and Mabel are bored to death, though not for long. Soon they discover that a lot of paranormal stuff is going on in the city. Several years ago, a very similar cartoon called Volley was released in the Russian Republic of Taristan. According to the creators, the main goal was to inspire the younger generation generation to learn the Tartar language, but the authors apparently got too carried away by foreign references. The first episode shows us an almost identical Gravity Falls story and characters, albeit slightly adapted to local reality. The protagonist, Volley, is very similar to Dipper. Although he does not wear a baseball cap, he spends his summer with his grandmother. Whether this is plagiarism is a moot point. In any case, the educational initiative of the authors is to be appreciated.
Listen, we definitely appreciate it, but it still is in fact plagiarism. That's what we're gonna call jackery today, guys.
Moreover, this is the first project of this scale for the Tasma Media Studio. Now the artists are working on improving the pilot episode and the sequel, where they promise to change the style of the characters and the script.
That's nice.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Patrick?
The legendary Nickelodeon creation, which is still an ongoing series. It needs no introduction.
No, not at all.
SpongeBob?
SpongeBob has become one of the most successful projects for the channel despite its relatively modest budget. More than 10 years ago, a figurine of the protagonist appeared in Madame Tussauds' New York Wax Museum. And this, you see, is an unusual achievement for an animated character from a children's cartoon. Some of the plot lines of this series have a much deeper meaning than is commonly believed. Here's one surprising fact for you. Many SpongeBob fans truly believe the 7 main characters represent deadly sins. Just think about it. Patrick represents sloth, Squidward does not know how to control anger.
To be honest, that could be valid.
Mr. Krabs is known for greed. And Gary is no stranger to gluttony. Guess who represents the other vices, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The series has been translated into over 50 languages, from Portuguese to Vietnamese.
Gostas dos hambúrgueres suculentos, não gostas?
You thích Krabby Patty, phải không chú Squidward?
China is one of the few countries where SpongeBob has not been aired on TV. Some
Oh,
enthusiasts
no.
decided to fix this and
Oh,
created
no.
a parody of the animated series, moving the setting to an
parody.
Asian country. Of course, it was not officially released, but the
Okay.
video got many views online. But this
Yeah, I'm not sure that one counts then. I mean, if it's just like a super fan mad that it's not being shown in their country, then I think it's completely fine as long as they're not trying to like officially release it as something different. Guys,
series, Coconut Fred's
think this
Fruit
is
Salad
fair.
Island, was made by the American studio Warner Brothers. It was aired on TV, though not for long. The show had very low ratings, mostly due to being the obvious knockoff of SpongeBob. The plot features an island inhabited by living fruits, and the main character is just a copy of the well-known Nickelodeon character. The only difference is his shape, not square, but round.
round. What?
Adventure Time. The animated hit of the Cartoon Network channel was released 10 years ago and immediately won the heart of kids and adults alike.
Really quiet.
Though the plot of the animated series can hardly be called kid-friendly, the story unveils on a planet that has just survived a nuclear war. Unsurprisingly, the popular Mad Max film series
movie
was
is
the
that?
inspiration for the post-apocalyptic universe. 5 years after Adventure Time was released, a very similar YouTube show came out in China.
放了他们！
还有我的斗篷。
Oddly enough, instead of relentless criticism and accusations
course
of
it's
plagiarism, many fans of the original animated series were positive about its Asian remake. The show is called The Legend of Lucky Pie, and its universe and characters really seem to be copied from the American series.
所以我才是处女座吗？哼！我要回家了。
But the
Yeah, guys, I've never actually seen the original, so I have no idea what to even say in terms of this here. But if it's thievery, bro, it's still thievery.
amazing thing is that it is made by 2 enthusiastic friends without special equipment and budget, and it looks quite good. So the creators perhaps can be forgiven for being copycats.
I don't know about all
My
that.
Little
bro.
Pony, friendship is magic. You have probably seen plastic ponies with huge eyes, sparkles, and colorful manes in
Right,
children's toy
right.
stores.
We
At the
have.
end of the last century, they were insanely popular. In the period from 2003 to 2010 alone, the American manufacturer Hasbro sold 100 million of these toys around the world. In 2010, the series My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic premiered on TV. It follows the adventures of a pony in a fairy tale world.
Yeah, friendship and flowers and ponies and boo.
The show,
I've never actually watched this show, bro.
which is still ongoing, has
Never.
been translated into many languages and quickly gained millions of fans around the world. It's funny that the target
What's it
audience
about,
was supposed to be school-age girls, but for some reason, ponies became popular among a considerable number of males, including adults. If you look at the animated series, Philly Fantasia,
Are these modern males? Guys, let me know.
show, which premiered last year.
It's very colorful. All right, it grabs your attention. Like, what is it? What's so interesting about it? Is it like excessively deep stories that are technically made for kids, but are like deep enough to also like, I don't know, like, attract the adult psyche? Maybe it is.
It's impossible to find differences from the above-mentioned show. The only thing that stands out is perhaps three-dimensional animation. By the way, the series was announced in 2013. A trailer was posted on the internet, but the resemblance to My Little Pony outraged fans so much that the premiere was postponed until last year. This time, the reaction from the audience was much calmer. South Park. Immediately after its release on television in 1997, this animated series won the audience with its black humor and unprecedented ridicule of American culture. A huge fan club of the series emerged right away. By the way, did you know that a full-length film based on South Park was mentioned in the Guinness Book of Records? It's not hard to guess why.
Doggy.
Doggy.
Now I want you to say horse.
Hush, that hurt, goddammit!
It features
Wait, there's a
399
South Park
obscene
movie?
curses, 128 obscene gestures, and 221 acts of violence. Of course, copying the visuals of this show is not that difficult. It has never been exactly praised for animation. The authors created the first episode of South Park by hand, rearranging the cardboard characters for each frame. But a decent
Guys, this name, hold on, South Park, bigger, longer, uncut. And uncut. Apparently, it came out in 1999. Where was I? I don't remember this ever happening.
Recent adaptation with the same witty script
And I
is
like the
much
show.
more difficult to create. However, there are shows similar to South Park, and not somewhere in Europe,
How
but the
similar?
Arab world. Yes, in 2000, Kuwait released the series called Block 13 with very similar characters and animations. The plot is also focused on important problems of the Middle East society, but of course, without violence and swearing. The amazing
But like, that's the whole show, though, right? Like, the whole show is that. And that also is, in fact, thievery, but I'm going to promise you I'm going to start looking for it as soon as we're done with this video here, guys. If there's English translations out there.
world of Gumball. And finally, perhaps the most obvious plagiarism we've ever seen. Since 2011, Cartoon Network has been airing an animated series about the life of a cat named Gumball Watterson and his adoptive brother, Darwin the goldfish. They go to school together and constantly find themselves in difficult situations. In short, a classic cartoon plot. It sounds toothless, but behind this seemingly simple story, there are cool jokes, some of which only an adult can understand. The animated series has received many awards from the British Film Academies, which says a lot about its quality. In China, they decided to make their own version of Gumball. In 2015, the animated series Miracle Star was released. The creators changed the names and species of the characters. For example, the cat became a goat, but the similarities still remained obvious. If you compare some episodes frame by frame, you will see they even have similar camera angles and dialogue. In such cases, the creators of copyrighted content usually go to court, but Cartoon Network decided to take a witty approach. The authors of the show released an entire series called Copycats, where they introduced the characters of the Chinese series to the plot and ridiculed their attempts to resemble the original characters.
Look at this.
Well, the Chinese company also had to pay $10,000 in fines. Hold on a second. Do you want to see some crazy stories from real life?
Okay, listen, guys. The last one, 100% was the best of them all. Okay, now don't get me wrong here. I expect China to be the country that does it. Nothing against China in its context here, but I definitely expect them to do it. Our culture, their culture are massively different. They have a lot of people there. They most likely have encountered some bits and pieces of our culture. They may have liked it, but then obviously realized that this stuff cannot be allowed in that country, right? So they just basically took ideas and created their own version of what we've already had. I'm gonna go ahead and still say that it's not appropriate, bro. I mean, I think you should be very weary of utilizing someone's intellectual property. I think at all times, unless you're using it for the purpose of fair use. Reaction channels basically exist, let's say, under the guise of fair use, right? And also, someone like me here, I've been a photographer for over 2 decades, so I am fully aware of the concept of copyrights, utilizing other people's copyrights consistently, and never specifically attempting to 100% jack someone's thing, bro. Right? Be cautious. That's all I have to say here, guys. All right? But in the meantime, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.